Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Revelations chapter 21, verses 10 through 13. He carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And a wall great and high had 12 gates, and 12 gates, 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, 12 gates to the city.
in the east.
Three gates in the west. Three gates in the north. Three gates in the south. 12 gates to the city. Hallelujah. Living just enough for the city I'm living. Just enough for the city I'm living. Just enough for the city I'm living. Just enough for the city. I'm gonna build that holy city. I'm gonna sing in that holy choir. I'm gonna build that holy city. I'm gonna sing in that holy choir. I'm gonna build that holy city. I'm gonna sing in that holy choir. I'm gonna build that holy city. I'm gonna sing in that holy choir. 12 gates to the city. 24 elders in the city. 12 foundations in the city. Waiting for me in the city. Sing hallelujah in the city. Sing hallelujah in the city. Built for prayer in the city. 12 gates to the city. 12 gates to the city.
All right, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
and welcome to the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles. This day has some significance as we get down into the whole plan of what Yahweh has set for these holy days. We understand that these things must be done in order. When we talk about what Yahshua presented with the Passover, we oftentimes miss that part of the atonement that happens with that. But with that atonement being done, we then, of course, get an opportunity to tabernacle. But then that 8th day, see, when we deal with the week-long feasts, they are all 7 days until we get to this one, the last one. He has us to do that week, and then it ends with a Sabbath. So we're going to go over some of those things so that we are very clear about that. Let's begin in Leviticus 23, and we're going to start with verse 33.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 33. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yah. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein.
All right, so to understand a lot of the things that we are doing, we're saying 7 days. This is why we had something going on every day this week. And If we don't really understand the spiritual significance of that, we're talking about us being present for the sabbatical kingdom. This is why each day is important, because it is representative of this entire time that we are going to be with the Mashiach. Remember, it says that a child shall die at 100 years old. Well, it's 1,000 years of peace where the adversary is chained. So why would there be a person dying at 100? Then what happened? They didn't get the tabernacle all that week. So we have to understand what the spiritual significance is, because a lot of times we just think that we're showing up doing some things. No, don't. This has a connection here. Go ahead.
7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you.
There's also a reason why that the things that we eat on those days have to be cooked. We're not just doing some things. So you have some people that say, you know, I'm this. I only eat raw food. You got a problem when it comes down to these feast days. These are things that must be offered by fire. We're not just having a meal just because we want to hang out. This has spiritual significance. Go ahead.
And you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day. Besides the Shabbats of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which you give unto Yahweh. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, you shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the 1st day shall be a Shabbat, and on the 8th day shall be a Shabbat. And you shall take you on the 1st day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your El 7 days.
You shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim 7 days. If you notice, it says a holy convocation to start and a holy convocation to end. He didn't tell you what to do on those other days. But he said you're going to rejoice every last one of those days. Go ahead.
And you shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths. That your generation may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your El. And Moshe declared unto the children of Israel the feasts of Yahweh.
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy chapter 12. So when we talk about a booth, then we're talking about tents. A tent is a tabernacle. And you have to just imagine the picture in your mind of the children of Israel just all around the temple, dwelling in, these tents. Because, you're talking about all of these people convening on one area, we're going to quickly run out of space. He said, no, you're not. Gather all the way around. Deuteronomy chapter 12, and let's start that at verse 1.
These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land, which Yahweh, the Elohim of your fathers, give you to possess it, all the days that you live upon the earth.
These are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land. He said, hold on now, I'm giving you a land, but I'm going to also give you instructions on how to live in that land, so that the land goes well with you. Living in the land will go well with you if you treat the land like I'm telling you. This is my land, and I have to be honored in it the right way. But because of our punishment, imposters are able to live in our land without living right. And we can go right in the book and prove this. That Yahweh doesn't require of an impostor the same thing that he requires of his children because of our disobedience. All they have to do is, do a little few things here and there, and he'll let them stay. So let us be careful that we don't watch the things and say, yeah, when we get in the land, we're going to do that. No, you're not. You do it, you're going to die. Go ahead.
You shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which you shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the hills and under every green tree.
Right. And we had a question during Ask the Priest about this. This is about when we have our land and we are in control of our land, then we remove all of these things. We can't do that here. This is not our land. Do you understand that? Go ahead.
And you shall overthrow their altars and break down their pillars and burn their groves with fire. And you shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. You shall not do so unto Yahweh your Elohim, but unto the place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall you seek, and thither you shall come. And thither you shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks.
All of the things that are important unto Yahweh ought to be done at the house where he has placed his name. The place where he has placed his name is the place where his spirit dwells. See, going along and because a lot of times I know people are in the process of searching who they're going to listen to, and you come about some of these congregations who have tabernacles, but their Feast of Tabernacles basically turns into a camping trip out in the woods. Now he says go and get these trees and make you booths, but then he also told you, all right, now but you make the booth at the place where I put my name. You go out in the woods to get the tree. You don't celebrate in the woods. But these kind of things become nice money-making events where people putting down hundreds of dollars to go tabernacle in the woods. And they don't know that that's not how that's supposed to be done. Go ahead.
And there you shall eat before Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand unto, you and your households, wherein Yahweh your Elohim has blessed you. You shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For you are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. But when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow unto Yahweh. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim, you and your sons and your daughters and your men servants and your maid servants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to yourself that you offer not your burnt offerings in every place that you seest.
Take heed to yourself that you offer not your burnt offerings in every place that you see. Now, this is where people will go and go to the New Testament and say, well, 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. So they then take that. They don't understand who the 2 or 3, first of all, who they talking about. He don't understand that, he's dealing with his disciples, but they then take that out of context and say, I don't need to be a part of any place. All I need is 1 or 2 more people and I'm good. The entire foundation ain't set up like that. Go ahead.
But in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. Notwithstanding, you may kill and eat flesh in all your gates, whatsoever your soul lust after, according to the blessing of Yahweh your Elohim, which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat thereof, as of the roebuck and as of the hart. Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. You may not eat within your gates the tithes of your corn, or of your wine, or of your oil, or of the firstlings of your herds, or of your flock, nor any of your vows which you vow, nor your freewill offerings, or heave offerings of your hand. But you may eat them before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which Yahweh shall choose, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates. And you shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim in all that you putteth your hands onto.
Okay. I want you to pay attention here, because this requires you to be able to handle yourself. Verse 17, you may have not eat within your gates, all right? Not at your house. The tithe of the corn or of the wine or of the oil. Wait a minute. Now he said corn and wine. What'd you make with corn?
Wine.
Liquor. Okay, now wine. Now, he says, verse 18, but you must eat them before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which Yahweh shall choose. So, at the holy place, it's drinking at the holy place. But Yahweh don't condone you getting sloppy drunk. You must be able to handle your own vessel. If you can't control your vessel, you don't need to come to the feast. You get to the point where after a cup of wine, you forget where you at. When next year's invitation go out and you don't get one, know why? Go ahead.
You know, he also clarifies a couple of things within that when he said you can't keep his sacrifices, the things that belong to him, at your house. So for those who don't believe in the New Testament and don't believe in Yahshua, okay, if you're not doing animal sacrifices, or if you're supposed to be doing sacrifices, where is the place that he put his name that you're doing those sacrifices at?
Right. It's interesting how when you get right down to it, we don't believe the Old Testament or the New Testament. We don't believe in no testament. We believe in our own testament. That word just change. We jump in and out of the Old and New Testament as the particular situation suits us. 1 minute the Old Testament suits us, so we'll deal with that. Then the New Testament suits us, then we'll deal with that. Go ahead.
Take heed to yourself that you forsake not the Levite as long as you liveth upon the earth. When Yahweh your Elohim shall enlarge your border, as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh. You may eat flesh, whatsoever your soul lust after. If the place which Yahweh your Elohim has chosen to put his name there be too far from you.
You see how he covers you? He first tells you how it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be done at the place. But what if the place is too far? So then he automatically covers those individuals. But then what is too far? Now, too far is a different measurement depending on each brother or sister. How do we determine what's too far? Okay, we determine, you yourself determine what's too far. And how do you do that? What's the last time you went driving for something, for some vanity? How far was it? All right. Well, if it's past that, it's too far. Because we'll go 3 states over for some mess. I know folk that'll go for bike week, they go past 3, 4, 5 states. Then they come to other things and say, well, you know what, that's too far. Okay. Tell it to Elohim, not me. Go ahead.
And too far back then can't equate till today.
Sure can't. Too far Too far back then, hey, they had half a horse. Half a horse go slow, bro. Half a horse is slow. Go ahead.
Then you shall kill of your herd and of your flock, which Yahweh has given you, as I have commanded you. And you shall eat it in your gates, whatsoever your soul lust after. Even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten, so you shall eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike.
Persons, not unclean food. Go ahead.
Only be sure that you eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it. You shall not eat it. You shall pour it upon the earth as water. You shall not eat it, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh.
All we have to do to have some things go wrong in our land is to allow some things that should not be allowed. We have all of these other things. Do you understand that this itself will get us in trouble in the land? That Yahweh gives us an opportunity to get back in that land, and then we let people make steaks medium rare. We will then be faced with judgment and then walking around trying to figure out what is happening to us. So Yahweh said, man, they're not getting all that blood out that stuff, man. This your land, man. How you let them people eat with the blood? And we'll be trying to look around, trying to figure out what the problem is. Then we have a whole lot of things that we have to oversee. Go ahead.
Only your holy things which you have and your vows you shall take, and go unto the place which Yahweh shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Yahweh Elohim, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured upon the altar of Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you forever, when you does that which is good and right in the sight of Yahweh your Elohim.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 20. Yahweh is a wonderful Elohim in so many ways, but then to command us that we rejoice for a week. That's not normally something you have to command somebody. I command you to party. I command you to have wine and strong drink. That ain't normally nothing that you have to say. But as we have stated throughout this week, as we are gathering in our crops, Yahweh is gathering in his crops as well. And it is a celebration when he brings his people together. But we have to also see that when we do gather together, we end up seeing some things about ourselves. And as a family, those types of things are necessary because we end up learning how to deal with one another. We must think about just how powerful the whole thing of Tabernacles is when we get outside of just dealing with us. When you get outside of just dealing with us here and talk about all of Israel who are scattered all over the earth, and you talk about tabernacling, we have to think about what happened at Pentecost. That the Spirit was there and gave them those cloven tongues so that they would be able to understand each other. Because these people are coming from everywhere. That's how humongous, on a large scale, this Tabernacles is going to be. This is why, we may learn other languages, but here's the issue. How many of them you gonna learn? Israel is spread all over the globe. So Yahweh is going to have to intervene with something other than what we can physically do with our hands. Go ahead.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
Right. The Sabbath is what? It's a rest, right? You can't get no more restful than when Satan can't go. He said, where have you been? I was here and there, to and fro, walking up and down in it. Okay. I already know what you've been doing. Have you considered? Well, you lock him up. Now we're talking about a Sabbath. Go ahead.
And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw a throne, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua, and for the word of Elohim.
All right. So these who have paid a price are the ones that Yahweh is going to deal with first. Go ahead.
And which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with the Mashiach 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
So they missed tabernacles. They missed tabernacling with Yahshua. So we have to understand just how special these times it is. There's a reason why he said, do this for a week. They missed that. Go ahead.
Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Yahshua, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
All right. I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books, plural, were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things. So, what's happening? You got one book. You already got you half your test right here. It said the books were open. It's open book test. The test open book. The problem is there's several books. All right, so this is the one book. The other books is all that stuff that you did. So, they're going to go by the stuff that you did, and let's judge that by what was written in here. This is what you were supposed to do. This is what you did. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you did. The books, plural, were opened. As it is written, man shall give an account for every idle word that has proceeded out of his mouth. The books were opened. Now, it's amazing how in certain parts Yahweh has this, one of the angels, and it says, the man with the writer's inkhorn, right? And he's able to, write these things down. But being that Yahweh has an intercessor for us, then there's an ability, depending on how we atone and how we deal with some things, there is an ability to have some things stricken from the record in those books. Now, you might have did what was on page 114. But Yahshua said, no, but I did work with him, and then we did deal with the atonement on that. So strike that one from the record. Next. Quite frankly, that's the only way we're going to make it. Because ain't nobody book good enough to actually go through. You do understand that, right? You do understand that ain't nothing in your book. You may think you've been a dashing individual. But let me tell you something. There's nothing in your book that's so good that you're going to make it on your own. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and the grave delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works.
Right. You have all of the people to be all over earth. Yahweh going to go around and pick up every part of you and put you back together so you can stand for judgment. We can listen to all these folks if we want to. And one thing you find out when this judgment is going, you don't find anybody coming down. You notice everybody coming up, right? There's a reason why some of these things will never be read in certain assemblies. Because they've made $1 kajillion off of teaching another doctrine. Go ahead.
And death and the grave were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Keep going.
And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Now, you sometimes you kind of read past some things. It says, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. When you deal with the whole waters, the waters were made to separate us. If you push all the land masses together, they fit together like a puzzle. It was Yahweh that said, these people stay together and they start doing wickedness. Spread them out. And what have we done? Try to undo everything that he has done. And claim that we love him to pieces. But he is the one that separated the nations and separated the people. And we then in turn try to undo every bit of it. Go ahead.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, and be their El. And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I'll be his El, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers.
Stop. The very first thing he mentions is fearful. After fearful, unbelieving. Then goes to abominable, then murderers. Wait a minute. You would never think fearful and unbelieving will be in the same class as a murderer. Fear will cause us to do exactly the opposite of what Yahweh is pushing us to do. It gets down to a point where if we're so fearful, we then become unusable to him. Go ahead.
And murderers, and whoremongers, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars.
Which liars?
All liars.
Okay.
Shall have their part in a lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.
Right. You wouldn't also look at a liar and put them in the same cell with a murderer. especially not in today's climate. We have been desensitized to certain things. But Yahweh is going to play by the old rules. The rules don't change with him. Go ahead.
And there came on to me one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit of a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Which are the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third a chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth a topaz, the 10th a chrysoprase, the 11th a jacinth, the 12th an amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Adonai Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it.
We're talking about true tabernacling at this point. So much, in fact, that you don't need the tabernacle to tabernacle. Go ahead.
And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it. For the glory of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it.
Right. What he says, the nation who will not serve you, I'm going to deal with them. Go ahead.
And there shall in no wise enter in at anything that defiles, neither whatsoever works abomination or makes a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
Right. So when we talk about these things, there shall not be anything that comes in it that defiles. So understand what he's holding us accountable for. All right. You get this land. It is your duty to make sure that these defiled things are removed. This is why I say you go in, you break down those altars, you burn those groves, you take all of those things out. That work is just not going to magically be done. But they say, nothing that's defiled will enter in. Yeah, I know. You going to make sure. And he going to make you practice here. So he going to make sure that something show up defiled and ain't nobody around but you. And you trying to run, go get somebody. Trying to, right. He dealing with you. He made sure it didn't show up when nobody else was around but you. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65. Yahweh is merciful. So he gives us an opportunity to have some tests there, if you will. He's even so merciful that sometimes he give us a test. He know we're going to fail it. But I mean, he can't tell you it's the practice test. Then you ain't going to even take it. He got to at least make you believe that it's real. Isaiah 65, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name.
Uh-huh.
I've spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good, after their own thoughts.
Uh-huh. And we have been raised up to do that here in the daughter of Babylon. We have been raised up to follow what we think, feel, and believe. We will read something and automatically say, well, you know, the way I feel about that. You know, the way I see that. Go ahead.
A people that provokes me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifices in gardens and burns incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
Uh-huh. And we pick up everything. This is part of going amongst all these other nations, and we go amongst those people and they have these, you know, these little dishes, and they say, oh, you know, try this dish. And, you know, we look at, oh, man, it sounds feng shui. Man, I like that. We should do that. Calamari. That sounds good. Man, you know what you eat? But see, because we want to go here, there, and yonder, we start picking up all of these things. He said, you are defiling yourself from inside out. Go ahead.
Which say, stand by yourself, come not near to me, for I am holier than you. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burns all the day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. Your lawlessness and the lawlessness of your fathers together, said Yahweh, which have burnt incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills, therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom. Thus says Yahweh, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one says, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it, so will I do for my servants' sakes, that I may not destroy them all. And I'll bring forth a seed out of Jacob, and out of Yehuda, an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks, and the valley of Achor a place for the herds to lie down in, for my people that have sought me. But you are they that forsake Yahweh, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that truth, and that furnish the drink offerings onto that number. Therefore,
we have to look at all the various gods that we have participated in worshiping. You know, even when we go to, there's a part, I used to see it every year, and until I got into this word, I didn't have any understanding of that. You know, my family would do New Year's celebration, and every New Year they would have, you know, what they call ambrosia. This is the only time I ever seen it. They cut up all the fruit, nuts, all of this, and put it in alcoholic beverage. All the stuff soak up the alcohol. On New Year's, my family be rushing to try to get to this ambrosia. And you get one of them fruit that's got that, hey boy, and it done soaked up that stuff. Oh, you feeling dizzy up in there. And I began to wonder, you know, the ambrosia don't show up until New Year's. It never showed up. Start getting into this book and start reading about some of these gods and said, because, you know, you'll come across something and you said, let me go research that. And lo and behold, ran into one of their little festive moments And here are these things. Then you start backing up that, certain holidays always was associated with certain types of food. Back up. Look at those gods that they worshiping. There you find the food. Well, I'll be doggone. This is why you had certain food for this day, certain food for that day, certain drink for this day, certain drink for that day. I'll be doggone. Right under our noses, folks taught us to worship other gods. And we felt like we was carrying on family tradition. This is how slick the adversary is. We didn't feel like we were worshiping another God. We were just keeping the family tradition. The family tradition that was handed down to us was the worship of other gods. So you got to break your family to be in his family. Everybody ain't strong enough to do that. But then Yahshua said, who is my mother? Who is my brother? Go ahead.
Therefore will I number you to the sword, and you shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, you did not answer. When I spake, you did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, my servants shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but you shall be thirsty.
Wait a minute. You have people who have collected money from people all over the earth, claiming to be the children of Israel, getting checks upon checks upon checks. Y'all would say, all right, now it's Israel time. Real Israel. Go ahead.
Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For the Adonai Elohim shall slay you, and call his servants by another name. That he who bless himself in the earth shall bless himself in the Elohim of the truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the Elohim of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be you glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For, behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I'll rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
You know, when you get right down to it, there's only one group of people looking for a Messiah. And it's not the people who own everything. Why would people who own everything, who already sit in a land and have an army, a navy, have all of these things, why are they looking for a savior? They're not. Go ahead.
There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that has not filled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old.
But we have to ask ourselves why. Why would even a man die at 100 years old? Then that means he doesn't make it through the full week of Tabernacles. See, that there's certain things that we have to look at and say, oh, that's why he did that. Go ahead.
But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands.
Now, why would he have to say that about the children of Israel if they're already in the land? And who are they serving? He's specifically saying they shall not build and another inhabit. We built all kind of houses that we're not allowed to live in. They shall not plant and another eat. That's what they brought us over here for agriculture to start with. For the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. Why does he have to say that my people are going to enjoy the work of their hands. They will not have to serve anymore. Ain't nobody doing that but us. This statement don't fit people who own businesses and sports teams and banks. This statement don't fit that. Go ahead.
They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and thus shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, says Yahweh.
And we most definitely know that that is not happening at this present point. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 66, and I want to read verses 20 through 24.
And they shall bring all their brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations upon horses.
Out of all nations, the children of Israel are going to be brought. See, when it's time for tabernacling, first of all, you got to understand, in that 7th month, we then have this trumpet of Jubilee that sends everybody home. All the children gather at the sound of the trumpet. That's why when the shofar blows, we then come into the room. The Messiah is going to blow that Jubilee trumpet, and the children of Israel are going to start being regathered. Go ahead.
And in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, says Yahweh, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahweh. And I'll also take of them for priests and for Levites, says Yahweh.
So the nations are going to be bringing our people as an offering. You got to meditate on that for a second. Okay, the same ones who sold us has to go and redeem us to Yahweh. They got to get holy credit points. I heard y'all passing out holy credits. I found 2 of these over here. I tried, they didn't want to come because they was comfortable where they was. So forgive me, but I tied them up and I brought them here. All right, here's your reward. Now, before they had to run out and catch us, there was a reward for catching slaves. So they're gonna bring you. Think about that people, nations, not able to have peace in their land, and they trying to figure out, okay, there's not peace in this area. What's going on? Man, we found some Hebrews down here. We got to get them back to the land. This is why we in trouble. Come on, y'all. Let's get them. Y'all feed them, clothe them, make sure they look good. When I went women, they used to oil us up real good, so make sure, you know what I'm saying, we were shining for the sale, right? Okay. You don't think they're just gonna bring us to Yahweh looking in no kind of way, do you? No, put some jewels on. You ain't got no chains. Ain't you got some gold chains? We'll put some chains on his neck before we get there. Okay. Go ahead.
For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh.
Right, and people still trying to say they don't know when the Sabbath is. Yet they say they got a Good Friday, but they don't know when the Sabbath is. You know the two of them things don't go together, right? How you gonna have a Good Friday, but you don't know when the Sabbath is? And they said, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Wait a minute. We talking about a peaceful kingdom ruled in righteousness, and he's still talking about the Sabbath. How was it nailed to the cross? How was it done away with? Go ahead.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die,
Uh-huh.
neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Right. And these are the high up in evil. They will not be able to just commit suicide. Because, you know, this is the things that the nations do. Once they get down into their little dirt, they'll do their little thing, and then they automatically, boom, you know, so that they won't suffer punishment. They then kill themselves. Yeah, well, no, I got a trick for that. You jump off a building, you're just gonna be short. You shoot yourself in the head, it's gonna be a big hole in your head, and we still gonna be looking at you with that same hole in your head. No. You ain't getting out of this punishment. Just like you made my folks go through. Oh no. You gonna suffer through this one. No. Your worm not gonna die. I don't care what you do to yourself. You gonna pay for this. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 35. Isaiah chapter 35, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
The desert is going to turn into a fruitful field when you get there. Go ahead.
It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen you the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
And this is one of those things where we want to hold on until we can get to that point. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart. A hart is a deer. A deer can jump flat-footed over a 7-foot fence without running. We ain't gonna have to go get no Michael Jordans no more. We talking about your average brother that jumping from the free throw line. The game gonna be different. Space Jam really gonna be real. Go ahead.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of Yahweh shall return.
The ransomed of Yahweh shall return. Go ahead.
And come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads.
Right. What they say, sing us one of those songs of Zion. Everywhere we go, it's with a song. Why you think the very people, the imposters, have taken over our music industry? They didn't have nothing else they could take over? Why you think they needed to take over that? We talk to one another in song. We influence one another in song. So what happened? The imposters went and completely took over our musical endeavors. They used to teach music in school. They used to teach you how to play instruments, how to read music. None of that is happening anymore. Why? We were making too many advancements through music. And it is an official job within the priesthood. So if you think that they just did some stuff by controlling the music, you really don't understand the purpose of music. You really don't understand what you think you understand. The devil needed to control music for a real reason. You go back to just the early days of hip hop, most of the people who were in it had done a couple of years of college. Now the average rapper ain't finished middle school. And they get shot up all over the place, dying. But you know who ain't dying? The ish executives who getting all the money. Not one of them have been shot. Not one of their houses been shot up. Controlling that music had a purpose. So when Yahweh said the ransom shall return, oh no. That's why he said, I can't shut your gates. You know how many people got to bring you money? You know, we had that problem. They said, oh man, I was trying to get off, right after I got off, I was trying to get to the bank, but the bank closed. Y'all always, oh, no, the Bank of Israel not going to close. Come on in and bring it. No, come on in here. No, we've been waiting on you. So, you get off work, you don't get off work to 8? Don't worry, we'll be here. Come on, bring it. Because y'all got to make that atonement for what my people have gone through. And this atonement bill going to be pretty high, so you're going to have to make payments on this one. You're not going to be able to just drop one thing and take care of this. So we're going to put you on a payment plan. Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Acts chapter 1. Acts chapter 1. And we're going to read verses 1 through 7. And what we have to look at is our people were looking forward to this. Sometimes I'll see these little questions or these posts that come through the email, and they'll say stuff like, the Jews don't believe in a Messiah, blah, blah, blah. And it makes sense if somebody already has military might and they have companies, they have all of these things, then they're not looking for a savior. But when you get to this book, you find that our people were looking for a savior then, and we're looking for one now. Acts chapter 1, and let's start at verse 1.
The former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Yahshua began both to do and teach, until the day in which he was taken up. After that, he, through the Holy Spirit, had given commandments unto the apostles whom he had chosen, to whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of Elohim. And, being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which, says he, you have heard of me. For Yohanan truly baptized with water, but you shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days hence. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Adonai, will you at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?
Wait a minute. Will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? Israel wasn't ruling the kingdom. Israel was being ruled over. And people will constantly tell you, we've always been in the land. I know. Ruling over the children of Israel, being used by the other nations. They said, will you restore the kingdom? They were looking for a Messiah. The first thing that people tell you, the Jews weren't looking for a Messiah. You out your mind. They were being ruled over with rigor. Will you at this time restore the kingdom? And listen to what it said.
And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons, which the Father has put in his own power.
Listen to his answer. He said it's not for you to know the times. They already knew that he was going to restore the kingdom to Israel. They just didn't know when. The question says, will you, verse 6, Adonai, will you at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel to Israel? They said, look, I know the kingdom is going to be restored unto Israel. And these heathens who are in control and who are doing things are going to get kicked out. But are you coming to do that now? He said, ain't none of your business. So you don't need to know basic. And then you need to know. But they knew, and he knew that they knew that the kingdom was going to be restored to Israel. These brothers had read these prophets. All of these things that we read tonight, they read those. They knew that it was going to be restored. They knew that they would be able to tabernacle in peace. But he didn't want to break their spirit. You understand how hard it would have been with all the stuff that they were going through to then turn around and say, well, no, it's going to be at least another 2,000 years. They might pass out and die right now. You mean tell me we got to go through that? There's certain things you might think you want to know. You don't want to know. You don't want to know that. Just even ourselves can consider who we are today. And imagine if you had been born during slavery. And we get to complaining, man, I've been at work 10 hours. If you was a slave, that was a regular day. Matter of fact, the question would have been how many hours of daylight was it? That's how long you worked. The work didn't stop until the sun stopped. We don't consider how much hell our parents went through in the 60s. We don't even consider that kind of stuff. And what if it had been us? So there's certain things. It is not for you to know the times and the seasons. This is why I don't get into all those things where people say, well, you know, it says 400 years, so we're going to count up the thing. It is not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Father has reserved unto himself. 1999 was an amazing Prince song, but it was a failed prophecy of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they made about 15 more of them, trying to guess when they thought Christ would return. And I don't understand why we can't just get, it is not for you to know the times and the seasons. He said, I'm going to come at a time when you think not. So just when you get comfortable, that's when he comes. You know what, I've been doing good for this long, and he ain't came. You know, I'm just going to go on and I'm going to fall off for a while. I mean, you know, because I mean, you know, surely, I mean, he ain't going to come tonight. I mean, he ain't came the other 400 nights. I've been doing good. So I'm going to do a little bad tonight. He said, all right, now I'm coming. Let us consider those things as we keep this feast. Let us consider those things. And let us also remember that Yahweh has set forth an order for us, that it is a Sabbath, that we are not to go to work. Understand, man, when it comes down to us being able to do this in our own kingdom, we ain't going to have to say none of that. Ain't nobody going to have to fill out no sheets to get off work. The holy days of the land is the holy days of the entire land. There won't be a soul working unless he a priest. That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.